Coastal towns constantly adapt their physical layouts and maritime infrastructure over time to meet shifting economic demands and new visitor traffic. This split-screen diagram compares two spatial datasets, the layout of Porth Harbour in the year 2000 on the left and its present-day configuration on the right. Across the intervening years, the harbour transitioned from a fairly basic, functional coastal area into a commercial destination. This change is driven primarily by the construction of new facilities dedicated entirely to visitors and tourists. Accommodating this new traffic required a strict spatial separation of the existing maritime activities. By reorganizing the water space, the town created clear operational boundaries between commercial fishing, private yachting, and passenger ferry services. When a harbor transitions to a high-traffic destination, planners often move away from mixed-use spaces. By isolating maritime functions into specialized zones, they aim to prevent operational overlap between industrial work and leisure activities. To see this reorganization in practice, we start with a zoomed-in view of the western sector of the harbor in 2000. At the time, this side was mainly used for parking, featuring two distinct car parks located just off the main road. However, basic amenities like showers and toilets were restricted exclusively to the northernmost car park. The most significant operational shift in this sector is a complete spatial inversion of the harbor's primary maritime assets. In 2000, the marina for private yachts occupied the northwestern waterfront. Commercial fishing boats were kept further south in a completely separate area. By transitioning to the present-day map, we can see how these two fleets have effectively swapped locations. The commercial fishing boats have now appropriated the former northwestern marina zone. They are now supported by a newly constructed fishing boat dock that extends directly outward from this location into the water. By contrast, the private marina has relocated southwards, settling into the zone previously occupied by the fishing fleet. Throughout this maritime reshuffling, basic vehicular access remained tethered to the main road, keeping parking isolated from the immediate waterfront. Executing this spatial inversion between commercial and private vessels allows the new extended fishing dock to optimize water traffic flow, ensuring larger industrial boats have direct access to open water without navigating around smaller private yachts. Panning the present-day map to the eastern and southern sectors reveals the area's deliberate pivot toward tourism. Toggling back to the year 2000 data, a disused castle occupied the small headland to the east. Returning to the present-day layout, that castle has been demolished and replaced by a commercial hotel. In 2000, a public beach was situated immediately adjacent to the castle grounds. Today, that specific beach space has been privatized, with access now restricted exclusively to hotel guests. Planners also turned their attention to the roadway running along the southern waterfront. They constructed new commercial units, specifically a row of cafes. Retail shops were also built along this exact same stretch of road. These new shops and cafes are situated in deliberate geographical proximity to the relocated private marina. Grouping retail spaces directly beside recreational boating creates a waterfront where foot traffic easily flows between the docks and the storefronts. This strategy demonstrates how historical, disused architecture can be transitioned into active, revenue-generating economic assets. Furthermore, privatizing adjacent natural resources, such as the public beach, is a functional strategy to increase the exclusivity and subsequent valuation of newly built tourist accommodations. While commercial redevelopment altered the majority of the harbour, panning to the centre and northeast zones of this map reveals three structural elements that remained completely static. First, the lifeboat station is clearly visible. It retained its rough central location across both the 2000 and present-day timeframes. Second, the passenger ferry dock. It has maintained continuous operation in its original location in the northeast of the harbour. Finally, the remaining public beach. This is positioned in the far northeast sector. This specific beach is one of the very few topographical features on the entire map that saw little to no alteration. Regardless of how an area shifts toward commercial tourism, emergency response units like the lifeboat station must remain centrally located to ensure rapid deployment. While revenue-generating zones dominate coastal redevelopment, essential public transit and safety infrastructure must remain geographically static to guarantee baseline harbor functionality. Zooming out to display the entire present-day map allows us to evaluate Porth Harbour as a unified, systematically zoned layout, rather than a collection of individual changes. The southern and eastern waterfronts now operate as an interconnected commercial and tourism zone. The western coordinates have been consolidated into a maritime operation zone. Within this zone, commercial fishing and private yachting are now strictly segregated to avoid interference. Finally, the northeastern and central areas function as a static public services zone. This tricolor spatial arrangement replaces the mixed-use baseline of 2000 with specialized sectors, concentrating visitor facilities in the south and east while consolidating maritime operations in the west. Ultimately, Porth Harbour's evolution illustrates how land use can be reorganized to transition from a utility-focused harbor to a leisure-driven economy. This educational breakdown was brought to you by the IELTS Focus.